So welcome everyone to this live webinar. We've called it Healing Eczema Naturally. Note the word natural. There is no quick fixes here or special lotions and potions we're selling. We're not selling anything. We are here to share our story of actually healing our children, especially Ali, who's an expert, I believe, in eczema. So let's just talk about quickly what's going to happen tonight. We're going to hear about Ali's journey. The reason we're going to do that is we'll be able to really relate to a lot of what she went through and her experiences, and there'll be a ton of learning in that. And then what we've got afterwards is an action plan for you then to take forward. So you've got stuff you can do as of tomorrow that will start improving your child's well-being. I'm just getting some notes here. I think you can't hear me or see me. I can hear and see. Okay, yes, we can't hear and see anybody else, but if you write any comments, we'll be able to see that, only Ali and myself, and perhaps the other participants can see the comments. We will then have your questions and answers. So we'll do that towards the end. So if you do have questions, hold on to them until I prompt you, because otherwise they might get lost in the thread and I won't be able to find them. So once we've heard about Ali's journey, given you the action plan, we'll then go through to your questions and try and answer as many as possible. And then there'll be a replay sent. And I'll just give you a brief introduction to who I am. Most of you will know who I am because you're on my subscriber list and you get a few emails from me. I'm trained as a nutrition health coach. I accidentally got very interested in nutrition when I became a first-time mum, and I developed a number of health issues, and I was on prescribed medications for asthma that I developed out of nowhere, allergies, hay fever. I had a lot of fatigue. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue, and also postnatal depression. So I was in really bad shape, and I was reliant on medication. And after a while, that actually didn't make me feel any better. And then I got into nutrition. I don't know how. I think the universe works in mysterious ways. And within 3 months, I managed to come off all my medication. I was told by my doctors that that would never happen. And fortunately, I was able to use that knowledge with my children, and in the last couple of years I've really specialized in allergies because my youngest son Cooper had multiple food intolerances and sensitivities and allergies, eggs, dairy, wheat, and natural occurring chemicals called salicylate. So he would throw up on bananas and blueberries, and he couldn't have avocados and tomatoes, and we had a very restricted diet, and it was an incredibly tough time, very isolating, very stressful. And as a result, I joined various online groups to meet other mums who were going through the same struggles that I was. Bearing in mind, I had a nutrition background and I was still struggling. And that's where I met Ali. And I noticed that she had a very similar approach to managing her children's symptoms, and the advice she was giving was very similar to mine. And I thought, well, I have to get in touch with this lady. She knows what she's talking about. And so we talked about doing a webinar and just sharing our story and helping other mums that are going through this situation. So I will point out, we are not doctors. We're not practitioners of any kind. We are really two mums that have been through it and have come out the other end. And have come off all medication, which I think is our goal. I don't think we want our kids to be on medication for long term anyway. So on that note, I just want to make sure I've covered everything. We shall get started. So Ali, I think people are probably fed up with my voice. Let's head over to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing your story. Can we get started by literally just hearing a bit about you, who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
My name's Ali, and we've recently moved to the Bellarine Peninsula. So if you know where that is, then that's great. So not you, Sharon. I have a daughter who is 12. who had a little bit of eczema when she was young in the creases of her arms and legs. And we used steroids on those and they cleared up and never really came back. And if they did, it might have been 6 months later, and then they'll go away again. And then I have my son Laken, who is now 4, and he was the one who struggled with eczema and food intolerances, and he has an egg allergy as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's jump straight in. Can you tell us, when did Lakey first get his eczema, and how did you go about treating him? So tell us all about your journey.
Okay, so Laken was a few months old when he developed eczema, and I thought that eczema was just what my daughter had, so never really knew too much about it. So he had it in the folds of his arms and his legs and a little bit on his cheeks. So we went off to the doctor, and they prescribed us with steroids, so topical steroids, and we didn't think too much of it because we'd used them before, and so we just used those, and then they would take the eczema away, but as soon as we stopped, the eczema would come back, which I think a lot of people have this common occurring thing where the eczema just keeps coming back. So throughout his first year, his eczema was there the whole time. So we just kept using steroids, and we'd go back to the doctors and ask, is this safe? We're using this all the time and we can't stop. And they kept saying, yes, it's fine, just keep using them. That's the only option that you have. They never spoke to me about diet or the skincare regime we're using at home. They recommended their bath wash that they recommend, and the creams that they recommend, but the only option that they gave us was steroids, and at that time that's all we knew, and so we just kept using them. I remember going on a holiday and I thought I was using a natural sunscreen. I bought a sensitive one for babies and put it on him and went out in the sun, and that night he was flared up completely where the sunscreen had been, and I was like, oh my goodness, I just thought it was his eczema, and never thought anything of it, and on go the steroids again.
Yeah.
When he was about 9 months old, we gave him egg for the first time, just a tiny bit, and his eczema flared up a little bit and his voice went a bit raspy. So I didn't think anything of it with the eczema and an egg allergy or anything. I just thought I'd keep the egg away again until he was 1. Yeah. And then introduced it again, only the teeniest amount again, but this time he had an allergic reaction. So he hives, swelling, vomiting, full reaction. So off we went to the hospital, and we went on the waiting list for the allergist. And then he ate egg again by accident. He got to my birthday cake. He had a great old time. And it was a worse reaction this time. And so, yeah, we knew now, we were still on the waiting list for the allergist, but we knew that obviously he was allergic to egg. So yeah, we didn't think anything of the eczema and the allergy being related, except for the fact that doctors had said often children with eczema will have allergies and will develop asthma. And I think it was around 18 months, it was 1.5 years, he was just getting really bad. He was swelling and coughing and started wheezing, and he developed asthma. And the doctors wanted to put him on a daily preventative that had horrible side effects. And I just didn't want to do that. And they also prescribed Ventolin. And it was around this time that I was taking a lot of time off work for him because of the way he was and looked, and I would look at him and go, I can't work today. We went to the Royal Children's, and they just said steroids, just use more of them. that's your only option. We saw the allergist. We had seen the allergist by then, and we booked in to see him again. And his only option was steroids also, and he put us on a stronger steroid, which we weren't too happy about, and didn't want to test him for any more allergens, because he seemed to only want to deal with an allergic reaction, not intolerances.
Wow. So, gosh, you've been using, medication. I've got no problem with medication, but for a year, and actually it sounds like Laken kind of just got worse. His symptoms sort of, there was almost like a stepping stone of different symptoms. The doctors weren't really connecting them. That must have been terrifying and exhausting for you. What made you suddenly change direction or, question everything?
I think, we just know as a mum, that something's not right. Something else might be causing the problem. I know I was thinking maybe it was a seasonal allergy because he had the puffy eyes and his nose was runny. It was just clear. And he had the wheezing and the asthma. But after we went to the Royal Children's and they just kind of flogged us off and said steroids, I thought this isn't the answer. And I just rang one of my friends who was the naturopath, and she came around the next day, and she was speaking to me about stopping the steroids, and that maybe an elimination diet would help. So then I started researching and just Googling, Dr. Google, constantly, which I had been doing anyway. I was constantly searching what can trigger eczema, which, turns out it can be anything, and it's different for everyone. So, I just knew that I had to change things. So we started to, book in with dietitians and naturopaths and homeopaths. And we also found a website called itsan.org, which is a support network for people that have topical steroid addiction, and it helps people going through the withdrawal process. So when you have used steroids for a prolonged amount of time, your body can become addicted to them. And what we found on that website matched Laken's symptoms, and we thought, well, we definitely have to get off the steroids. And then I started researching what can heal eczema, so healing eczema naturally, and came across, different kinds of methods of healing eczema naturally. The naturopath had obviously told us about the elimination diet. We went and saw the dietitian, and she started talking to us about the natural chemicals, so what you were talking about before, your salicylates and your amines and things like that. I just started researching. I found an app called The Chemical Maze, which you can buy the book or you can buy the app, and you can type in the number in a product or the name of an ingredient in a product, and it will tell you if it's good or bad. It will tell you where it's derived from and what symptoms it can cause and what effects it has on the body. So I recommend this app to everyone. And I started researching. The first thing I researched was the eczema bath wash that they were recommending me to wash Laken in. And all the ingredients were chemicals, and I was blown away. And the reactions that it could cause were eczema and psoriasis and rashes. And I was thinking, why would they want to use this on children that have these problems already? And I just thought there has to be another way, and I decided I wasn't going to use those products anymore. A lot of the ingredients are actually not safe for infants, and some countries ban them. It's like crazy. So I started looking at the natural products that I could use. Yeah.
Wow. Big changes. So what can you take us through? What were the first steps you took to heal Laken's conditions? Just very short, the first things you started doing.
So I decided that we were never going to use steroids again. So we stopped steroids, just cold turkey, and we're not going to use them again. And that was a scary decision to make because there's other people out there who have done it. And the withdrawal process is quite scary. It looks like they're burnt, and it can take a long time depending on how often you had applied the steroids and how long you would use them for. So yeah, we decided to stop steroids, and we also took away wheat and dairy first. And 2 days after we stopped wheat and dairy, his asthma stopped. Wow. So completely stopped, which blew us away, and we thought, wow, this is amazing. We then stopped soy and other allergens, and we also took away everything else. So put him on a very, very strict elimination diet. So no natural chemicals and no artificial chemicals. So no artificial colors, flavors, preservatives, no packaged foods. We changed to full organic fruit and veg and meat. And we also started drinking or giving him filtered water. And we changed everything in our home. We started making our own laundry liquid. We use natural washing liquid, and also in the bath we used all natural products. And after you start researching, you don't want to use them on yourself. So everyone in our household changed to a natural lifestyle.
And you also mentioned that you used probiotics as well.
Yes, so we also added in probiotics, fermented foods, and we really wanted to get the good gut bacteria back in and start healing his gut. So we added bone broth into his diet as well.
Okay, and we will be talking about gut health shortly, because that's a new subject that most people don't even know about, but it's starting to make mainstream media. So you might hear things like gut health and gut microbiome, and we'll talk about that. So what you did was very extreme, but you had quite an extreme case. So you went on a full-out massive elimination diet. I know a lot of mums that we've both spoken to, they find that removing a couple of the main triggers like dairy and wheat and gluten can have tremendous results. But what you did was not just eliminated, you actually started to create a very healing, natural food diet so that your son actually got better from the inside out and built his immunity that way.
Yes.
Very powerful message, and we'll talk more about that later. What could you actually eat, by the way, or what could Laken actually eat?
Yes.
So much.
So it does sound like it was quite extreme, and it was at the start. It was very hard. I've written it down so I don't forget. So we did keep oats in his diet. A lot of people will cut them out when they're cutting out gluten. But because we were cutting so much out, I wanted him to eat a decent breakfast. And often oats are just contaminated with gluten. So you can actually find gluten-free oats, but we just bought the organic oats. And he still now has them nearly every day for breakfast. And we would put pear in there and cinnamon and make it tasty. He lived on, we made hummus, homemade hummus, and he'd have that with carrot sticks and celery sticks, and he'd eat plain rice biscuits. We did keep nuts in his diet because he wasn't allergic to nuts. He was tested for those. So that was a good thing for us that he wasn't allergic to nuts. We made our own wraps with rice flour and gluten-free flour and things like that. And instead of dairy, we used rice milk and almond milk
Yeah.
And a lot of, even family members would say, oh, he needs to have calcium. You can't take away dairy, but there's calcium in other things, and, we can get it without having dairy.
Yeah.
He ate a lot of soups and stews, so we would add bone broth to nearly every meal to try and help him heal. And he would eat them.
Sorry, Ali. For those who don't know what bone broth is, chicken bone broth is actually a really healing food, and it's not a surprise that over centuries, all sorts of civilizations and cultures have used chicken soup to heal the sick. And the original recipes comes from simply boiling water with chicken bones and extracting all the nutrients from the bones. It's incredibly healing because it's full of gelatin, which actually nourishes and seals the digestive tract. It's a really powerful healing recipe. So Carrie, go on.
Yes, there's a reason why our grandparents said, here, have some chicken soup to make you feel better.
Yeah, not from the packet.
So he would have healing juices as well. So, vegetables, and we put a pear in there to make it taste nice. We would buy like a buckwheat pasta instead of your normal pasta, and we would, grate our veggies into that and just put, some salt, and he would be fine.
Many mums will, it's very frightening to remove your biggest food groups like dairy and wheat. That's the majority of our diets. So it's good to hear some of your examples that you used with Laken.
Yeah, because it is easier just to make a sandwich, isn't it? But we would make, say, a big stew, and we would all eat it. It tastes good. When you go back to eating food, and it's simple, it's not hard. You throw it in the slow cooker, it can cook all day. Even my 12-year-old, at the time, 10 years, would eat it.
Yeah.
So you can find bread. We found a rice bread and an oat bread, and the only other ingredients are olive oil and water and salt. So there are natural alternatives out there, but they're not at the supermarket. The gluten-free products that you see at the supermarket might have added other things that you might not like, and a lot of them have egg, which we couldn't have. So we had to find the other alternatives. So that's what we fed him, and he ate the same thing nearly every day for a very long time. It took him about a year to heal. Obviously, it might have taken 6 months for us to see improvements. It took a long time. He got worse before he got better because of the steroid withdrawal. So, it was the hardest time of our lives. We're up, every night. He still doesn't sleep all night. He's only slept a handful of times. But at the hard times, he would be up scratching nearly all night. My alarm would go off for work, and I would still be trying to put him back to sleep, and I would say, I can't go to work today. I had to give up work because it was too stressful, and it was horrible. But, I think the healing diet with the bone broth and taking away all the possible triggers made him heal faster.
Yeah. So when you were in the midst of that situation and you decided, I'm not using the steroids anymore, I'm going with this diet, you didn't exactly have a nutrition background. Did you doubt yourself, especially when you didn't see results immediately? And
yeah, all the time. I thought, me and my husband thought, are we doing the right thing? Is this really, what's wrong with him? It took a long, long time. And I think, being able to watch or see other people in their blogs go through it and actually heal at the other side kept us going.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so we are talking about healing foods, and the truth is, unless we understand why our diet is so important, we might not want to go to those extreme efforts. And a lot of parents, well-intentioned parents, when they realize that maybe dairy and wheat is triggering these symptoms, what they often do, understandably, is go for dairy and gluten-free packets. And they can sometimes be far worse than having dairy and gluten because of all the chemicals in those foods. And you mentioned the Chemical Maze app. I do encourage you to download that, because if you look on a label and you see a number, and you put that number in the Chemical Maze app, it will tell you what it is, and it will tell you what the symptoms are. And amazingly, a lot of the symptoms and these chemicals, these food chemicals that are used as preservatives to increase the shelf life and flavor of the food, has exactly this, gives you the same reaction you're trying to avoid, which is allergies, eczema, irritability, mental behavioral issues, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a right way of having an elimination diet and a wrong way. And so what we really want to encourage is a healing diet. And the reason the things like the bone broth and fermented foods and, you know, real food, which is vegetables and fruit, are so important is because of our gut health. Ali, how do you feel about talking about what gut health is, or would you rather I do?
You know, I think I can say a little bit. I mean, I'm not, and then you can. I might say it in an easier way. I'm sure that, you know, with eczema, what I've learned is our skin is our largest organ, and when it's inflamed or we have eczema or a rash, it's our immune system saying something's not right. So 80% of our immune system is in our gut, so it makes sense to heal our gut, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know too much about, you know, gut health and everything, but what I have learned is that a lot of things will take our good gut bacteria away, such as vaccines and even birth. You know, we lose some of our good gut bacteria, and we have to get those things back in. So breast milk will give it back in. So if we're formula feeding, then we need to obviously get some probiotics in there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if we're losing these things by using antibiotics and whatever else we're using, which is fine, by the way, we need to add them back in. And I think we've lost that knowledge along the way. And, you know, you can buy probiotics from the shop. You can buy fermented veggies. I wouldn't buy just your sauerkraut off the shelf at the supermarket. You have to go to a health food shop and get the good stuff. Yeah. And that has trillions of good, you know, gut bacteria in them, and we need to add that back in.
Yeah. So the reason bacteria is important is, well, as adults, we carry about 2 to 3 kilos worth of bacteria, and most of that resides in the gut. And when we're fit and healthy and we've got energy and we're feeling vitality, about 80% of that bacteria are the good guys that are there to help digest the food, absorb it, and provide us with all the nutrients that we need. But when, due to various lifestyle issues, poor diets, medications, antibiotics, the bacteria gets disbalanced, and then the bad bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, has a chance to take over. And a lot of people and children these days have unbalanced bacteria, and that's because they may have inherited it from their parents. When children come through the birth canal of the mum, they absorb all the bacteria. If they're C-sections, they don't even get a chance to do that, and they get inoculated in other ways through skin contact and all that kind of stuff. And so our gut, our digestive tract is meant to be a source of nourishment, but due to lifestyle, food, medications, various things, stress, our digestive tract can then become a source of toxicity. And the bad bacteria then releases these toxins, and the toxins can be carried around wherever you may be wherever you have areas of weakness. So, for example, if it goes in your lungs, you might start getting a bit of asthma. Those substances go in your skin, you start getting eczema. and all sorts of things. So it's inflammation. And that's why they're all connected. Everything actually comes down to your gut health. So whether it's eczema, allergies, asthma, hay fever, what that's saying is that your gut health or your child's gut health is in disbalance, that there's probably too much bad bacteria in there, and we need to start lifting up the good bacteria. And you do that through removing those trigger foods first to reduce that inflammation, and to start bringing in really good healing foods. And the reason chicken bone broth is so good is because it actually helps seal that gut lining and nourishes that gut lining. It's like the bodyguards of the digestive tract. It's really quite amazing stuff. I use bone broth for most things. So if I'm making spaghetti bolognese, instead of water or buying the vegetable stock or chicken stock, I'll make my own and I'll use it in everything. So it's all a journey and it all takes a bit of time. One lady mentioned quite rightly that when you start making things like bone broth or eating fermented foods, try very small portions at first, because no one knows what causes these triggers. If there's some very sensitive babies, they can't even handle that. So always try everything in small doses. I think that's gut health covered in a very small nutshell. So let's continue, Ali. So my next question is, when you removed Lakin's triggers and managed his diet and changed around the skin products and the washing products and stopped the steroids, how soon did you see an improvement?
So, 2 days after the wheat, like I said before, his asthma stopped and he hasn't had it ever again. We do give him wheat now, on occasion, if we have to. So due to the fact that he was going through steroid withdrawal, he did get worse before he got better. I would say around 6 months. So I would say that's a long time. We started seeing some improvement and we started adding things in, one thing at a time, starting with natural things, of course, so veggies and fruit, and adding those things in first. And he reacted straight away when we fed him a food that was his trigger. So he reacted to bananas, he reacted to coconut, he reacted to tomatoes, he reacted to wheat when we introduced that. He reacted to soy, and this is like a mouthful. Within a minute, he would have a reaction around his mouth and his eyes, and we would know that that was a trigger. And if we didn't take those foods away, we would have never known, and we would have been, adding to his problems. But I think the healing diet, we would take the foods that triggered him away again, and we'd keep him on the healing diet, and then we'd introduce them again, and he can eat everything now. But it probably took a good year for us to figure it all out, and for him to be pretty much eczema free.
And you were on steroids for a year anyway, so
yeah, a year and a half, and we could not stop, and it was horrible.
Yeah. So you literally got to the root cause, fixed that, and then not only did you sort out the eczema, you also nipped asthma in the bud as well. And because his gut got healthier, and and there was healing, he then, all the allergies and intolerances started to subside as well. So it's a case of working smart, not hard. And what I think we do, I have total respect for medication. I don't think sometimes the way we use it is to the best of our advantage. I don't think it's necessarily our first port of call or for long-term periods. But I find with medications, the same thing happened to me and my kids, that we start managing one symptom, medication for that, another symptom, medication for that, another symptom. And this is actually all affecting the gut health. And funny enough, when you correct the system and start healing from the inside, all the symptoms at the same time start reducing, which is to me, symptoms are not a big deal. They're just a sign that things are not quite right.
Yeah, and if we knew that back way when I was breastfeeding, you know, if I changed my diet when I was breastfeeding, like some of the other mums out there who are breastfeeding now, you know, maybe we could have healed him when he was a few months old.
Yeah. Yes. Taryn, she just mentioned, as we're on the subject, how long did you wait before you tried each food? Was it based on age or time?
So me personally, I waited until I saw an improvement in his skin. So, which was a long time because, you know, he was withdrawing from the steroids. So he went through a process where he would be fully flared, wherever the steroids had been, you could see it clearly where they had been when it came out. The spots that the steroids had never been, there was nothing there. Uh, and then it would scatter. And I took the foods away for a fair few months until I started reintroducing again. So until I saw an improvement in his skin, and then I would introduce again. I don't know, you know, because I am not a medical professional, what they recommend. Sometimes they say weeks. You know, I don't think that's long enough.
Yeah. The connection was getting a bit bad there. I don't know if everyone got that. Do you mind just sharing the last bit again? Sorry, Ali, because I didn't get that.
So I waited until his skin improved. But I think, you know, if you see a professional, they might say only take it away for 3 weeks. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's long enough.
Yeah, I think every case is different, and it depends what you're feeding your child. If you're just going dairy, gluten-free, but you're eating lots of packets and there's no healing diet intention or awareness,
then nothing might change.
Then challenging your child, well, that's what it is. It's a challenge on them, and they need to go through some sort of rehabilitation. I think a lot of us, when we're dealing with these allergy diseases, we are very focused on the elimination, but not the rehabilitation and the healing that is required.
Yes.
That is in focus. You're not relying on good luck and hoping for the best that your child will get better. You're actually...
They will eventually get better.
Yeah, you're in the driver's seat then and can make a difference. With my son, he had various sensitivities and allergies, and I just treated them as symptoms. And I thought, I will work very hard on his diet, because I can't live with this deprivation, because I was breastfeeding as well. It was too much. The restrictions were too much, and I felt bad for him. So it was just a very forced effort on my part to make sure he had a healing diet of bone broths and just real food and avoiding the triggers. Ali, before we go on to the action plan, and I'm aware of these questions that are coming up, do hold back if you can, but I will go through some. Ronnie, I will talk to you about probiotics, and that's actually going to come up in the next question. So, Ali, firstly, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think lots of mums are going to have elements of that they're going to relate to. Hopefully your story and your journey was so extreme, everyone is going to have a sigh of relief that their situation is not that bad, which is great news, because then the healing process is a lot quicker too. Given how hard your journey was, in all honesty, do you wish you just had a healthier child and you didn't have to go through all of that?
Do I wish I didn't have a child with eczema? Yes.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Would you change?
No. Because I've learnt so much, you know, in a way I'm glad, because I've learnt so much about food, and, you know, I'm not feeding the horrible stuff to my children anymore.
Yeah.
And myself.
Yes. And actually some parents have kids that are very healthy up until the age of 3, and are not conscious of diet. And it's at that age they start getting health issues then. So we happen to have the health issues immediately, and we're addressing it now. for many parents, they're actually going to get this experience later on, because statistics are showing that our kids are actually getting sicker. Our generation of kids are getting sicker than previous generations. And so some scary statistics, like 1 in 4 children have asthma, 1 in 5 have eczema now, 1 in 10 have ADHD, 1 in 68 have autism. And believe it or not, I've read this research that by 2025, autism will increase from 1 to 2. 1 out of every 2 children will have autism. Just the way that things are increasing so dramatically. So this isn't just genetics. In fact, genes are our loaded gun, but it's our lifestyle that will pull the trigger. So if we don't turn those genes on, they won't come on, and eczema and allergies and all that kind of stuff won't come about. So okay, so let's talk about an action plan. I've got people want to know about skincare, what you've done. Ali, they want to know about probiotics, and so for many of that, you have the answers for that. So let's go into the action plan. Hold on, just trying to get my notes. What would be, Ali, the first few things you recommend mums do with their eczema children, starting from the beginning?
So I think that, you know, my situation and what I did was quite extreme and really probably unrealistic for some people. So what I always recommend first is to eliminate, if breastfeeding even, you know, eliminate the top allergens. So, you know, dairy, wheat, soy, eggs, shellfish, you know, nuts, if that be the case. If you don't want to do them all at once, then do one at a time. I think it's easier just to do them all at once, because then you get it out of the way. Mm-hmm. But, you know, some people might find that too hard. It is hard to stop eating all those yummy things. Yeah. So yeah, you could do one at a time, and maybe keep it away for a month and introduce it back in. And if you see a reaction, then maybe that could be a trigger. And then if you don't see it with the top allergens, then I would go to the natural, or maybe not the natural next. I would maybe go the artificial, so your preservatives and additives. So Lakin reacted to artificial colours and, you know, preservatives, and still does. If we go to a birthday party and he eats crappy lollies, he will get a bit of eczema on his cheeks. And yeah, I would do that first. But I would also straight away add in the bone broth, probiotics, prebiotics, so your fermented veg. And once again, with probiotics and prebiotics, you have to do it really slowly, so a little bit, and work your way up. Yeah, that I would change laundry, so start using natural laundry, liquid or powder, whatever you use. I would use natural bath wash. I would stop using detergents. And
too quick. Let's say with the laundry, we're in Australia, so can you tell us some good brands for laundry powders that you found did not affect Lakin?
Yep. So yeah, there's a few brands that I love. There's the Resparkle, which have natural cleaning products, and they're all food based, or plant based, I should say, not food based. There's even more natural than that. If you want to go natural, you've got your Dr. Bronner's soap, which you can use in your laundry to wash your dishes. You can wash your veggies in it. It's quite natural. Yes. You can wash yourself and your hair and everything, your whole house. And also even more natural is soap nuts, which I love. Have you heard of soap nuts? No? So soap nuts are actually a berry, and they fall off a tree and they dry, and then they're picked and they naturally make soap, and that's all they are. And you can wash yourself in them. You can make a liquid and use it as a home cleaner. You can use it in your laundry. They're amazing. Yeah, I still find that amazing that a tree can produce something that, you know, cleans. And it's antibacterial, antifungal. It's amazing, that stuff.
Okay, wow. What's it called again?
They're called soap nuts.
Soap nuts. Nuts, as in N-U-T-S. I'm going to write it down for mum. Soap nuts. Okay, there you go. Okay, so skincare range. I think this is a really important one. Can we talk about where can you buy soap nuts from?
So, well, I've got my own online store now, Naturally Thriving, but we sell.
Sorry, Ali, that was a big thing that we didn't talk about. Your journey with Laken actually did change your life, in that it changed the course of your career and what you do as a mum. Can you, then we'll go back to this, but can you briefly explain what you do and what you've created? Fascinating.
Yeah. So while going through the rough of it, I was reading other people's blogs who had been through it, and it helped me. So I started with a blog. It has our journey, so you can read about it. I've got links on there to all the websites that I found useful and things like that. And it's just our story, and I've got, you know, I'm hoping to add to it with recipes and things like that. And then I've got a Facebook page which I share things on, and then I've created a bath soak. So it's 100% natural. It's made with organic oats and a few healing herbs that especially have been used for generations to heal troubled skin such as eczema. And then we have our online store, which features all the products that we personally use and love and still use them today.
Amazing. And your online store, what's the web address? I'm going to write it down for everyone.
So
www.naturallythriving.com.au. Okay, cool. So that's good. You can check out the products that Ali recommends on there. Either buy from her store online or wherever you go shopping. So let's go back to soap nuts. Can we buy soap nuts from your website?
Yes, you can.
Okay, that's good. Anywhere else? Are they common to get, or?
Yeah, I'm sure you can get them if you Google them. You'll find them. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's laundry. What about a skincare regime? Can we talk about skincare? Even sun creams. This is a big one for many mums. So you know.
Yeah.
What about and like bath and that stuff?
So if you want to go really natural with a bath, we've got the Pompeii Sea Sponge, which cleanses their skin naturally, and it's so soft and it's amazing. I love them. So if if your kids aren't dirty, then you can just use that, or you can use soap nuts if you like. Or you can use, I love Dr. Bronner's, so it's a all-natural olive oil castor soap, and it has some essential oils in there, so there's lots of nice smelling flavours, or scents I should say. Yeah, I love using the soap over a detergent, so a lot of the recommended bath washes you buy have harmful ingredients I think they're harmful now, and I wouldn't want to put them even on myself. So we use Dr. Bronner's, and we use a few other brands that we sell online, like the Biologica soap is great also. Yes, a lot of people or doctors will tell you to stay clear of soap because it's drying. I don't think that's true. I think it's, more harmful to use a detergent than it is to use a natural soap.
What do you think?
And all those things, have been fine for Laken's skin So yeah, skincare, you know, for little babies, I think like organic shea butter is probably the best. But you need to be applying constantly. So, you know, some people might only apply, you know, in the morning and at night or after a bath. I was applying constantly. So, you know, 20 times a day if you have to. Just keep putting it on. It has to be a natural healing, you know, balm. I like balms because it kind of protects them as well. Mm-hmm. There's a good one on there. It's the calendula remedy. So it's all natural, and it's healing as well for eczema.
Do you think for all the mums that have subscribed to this webinar, you might be able to do a nice blog or newsletter for us of the skincare range that you use?
Yes. Yeah, we can do that. It might be easier.
Yeah. But if you do go on Ali's website, that gives you a good idea of what products she uses, and also, you know, anything natural. I mean, you've just said you were applying cream 20 times a day to Lakin. Can you imagine if you're using harmful chemicals, and the skin is the largest organ that we have, and putting that in our bloodstream, it becomes so toxic. When we have too much toxicity in our body, we then can't absorb nutrients, and it creates a cascading effect of, you know, deterioration. So I think that's a really important message, using plant-based organic products if you can. And, you know, you make your own products. That's amazing. I think another thing that we do is we've got a question on probiotics. And I think you used probiotics on Lakin, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always recommend for people not to go and just buy cheap probiotics, to go into a good health food store and talk to the people in there. They have knowledge, or if they don't, they'll get someone to help you. But I like the probiotics in the fridge, not on the shelf. And yeah, don't just buy the cheapest one. But I don't know how to pronounce a lot of the names of the good bacteria. So if we write up a newsletter or something, I'll put in what, you know, the good strains are for eczema.
Yes. Ronnie asked which probiotics we use. I have used probiotics on my youngest since birth. Yes, thank you, Joey. Joey's actually put I can't even.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. The good brands for probiotics, probiotics are basically live bacteria, and that's why they need to go in the fridge. If they get too warm, the bacteria actually dies. So you want to get pharmaceutical grade probiotics. Some good brands are the Bioceuticals range and the Metagenics range. I believe it's Metagenics, or one of them has Eczema Shield. Thank you, Mel. It's exactly what I was going to suggest. There is who's the brand for Eczema Shield? I think it might be Metagenics. They actually have a probiotic formula called Eczema Shield, and it's designed for babies and kids that have eczema and allergies. And so what they've done is created a lot of the bacteria that those babies tend to be deficient in, and it tops it up. So probiotics can be a brilliant way to start restoring the gut health. So yeah, okay. Is there anything else that you mentioned, things like filtering your water and going organic? Why was that important for you?
So we wanted to give Lakin, his body, the greatest chance of healing. So the organic fruit and veg, you know, we decided to go organic because conventional produce is sprayed with preservatives, and you can't actually wash it off. Mm-hmm. So we just wanted him to have the least amount of chemicals in his body, to give him the best chance to heal. You know, our water where we are has fluoride in it. and we didn't want him to have a toxic substance in his body.
Yeah. And what people don't realize is pesticides and fluoride, they kill bacteria and small microbes. And while they don't kill us, they have an impact on the balance of the bacteria in our body. So they don't discriminate. They'll kill the good and the bad. So that's and also a reason why you sort of reduce the exposure to those. Okay, well, I think that is pretty much the sort of first things you would do to start healing. By no means do we suggest coming off any medication. Perhaps do think though, I remember when we were talking, you said in the packet for the steroid cream is, use it for 2 weeks. And if symptoms persist, go and see your doctor. But then you were using it for a year under the guidance of your doctor. I think medication, when it's used for too long, that's not great. And often there's a lot we can do before we go on to medications. But certainly there is no issue in using medication short term to just relieve the stress that is going on, but not to rely on it. Relying on it is not the long-term solution. And one other thing I'd add is a lot of mums struggle sometimes with their practitioners. Maybe they feel they're not being heard, or their problems are being taken too seriously. I do recommend going to integrative doctors. Those are doctors who are medically trained, but also believe and have been trained in nutrition. And the truth is, we've got into this mess of chronic disease basically because of the food we're eating or the products that we're eating. So it's natural to think that food can probably help us get out of it as well. So I would say a good integrative doctor or a naturopath. And naturopaths are all about looking at the gut and finding out the root cause. And I think we should always ask our doctors not only, what do I do about this symptom, but why is my child having this? Why? And keep asking why. Thank you, Mel. I've had wonderful results with naturopaths and integrative doctors, and that's where true healing really helped me. I didn't have all the answers. I was guided by these people. As I said, I respect medicine, but I respect it and use it in the correct way. In the last 6 months, my 2 sons have had this bacterial infection called school sores. It's like I don't know if you've heard of it, Ali, but it's highly contagious. And both doctors, because one spread to the other son, I was told to go on antibiotics. And I just don't do antibiotics anymore lightly. And we just rode it out. I went to see a homeopath and had remedies there. I upped the probiotics. I put zinc supplements, and I found other ways to control that illness. And I put myself out for a week. They couldn't go to preschool, and I dealt with that inconvenience. But long story short, he recovered, and it's beautiful to see your children recover naturally. It is so empowering as a mum. It's huge, I think. So, and I think the last thing, Ali, you'll probably agree, is you've always got to trust your motherly instincts. It's not by accident that we have our instincts. And when we became mums, mother instincts stepped in, and I do believe that is a massive guide in how you go forward. So if everything you've heard tonight sounds terrible, follow that instinct because it's not right for you. If it sounds good, investigate further and stay on the mailing list. And between Ali and I, we'll put some more information together for you. So I think that's it from our part.
I just read somewhere that a doctor had said to bathe in Dettol, and a lot of doctors will say bathe in bleach. So we did talk about this the other day. So instead of bleach, if you don't want to use bleach, I didn't want to put bleach anywhere near Laken. I used apple cider vinegar. So you can put that in and it will do the same thing. So that's a good one.
Yeah. Yes, and we're getting some amazing comments from people. You're also helpful. It's wonderful having your support on here because as a collective, we share our experiences, it just helps other mums along the way. There's always seems to be a natural alternative to the chemical alternative. So apple cider vinegar is such a amazing health product.
Yes.
Much rather have my kids bathe in that than bleach, which just seems wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's our talking done. Ali, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think, you know, big clap, high five, everything. Thank you so much. Why don't we go through some of the chats and just quickly try and answer as many questions as we can. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, okay. That's fine. Thank you for having me.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Ali. Okay. I did have a couple of questions come on email beforehand. I don't know if they're on here. So I'll start with these ladies. Sandy wrote in and talked about vaccines. That's a really controversial question, but she said, I have a question about eczema and vaccinations. When a child suffers from eczema, does that mean his immunity is not that strong? And would the vaccination have a worse effect? And basically she said in previous vaccinations, her son reacted pretty badly to it. So my advice there, and we're not doctors and you've got to follow your instinct, is I think when your child is struggling with something, whether it be a cold or a flu or eczema or even allergies, if you don't have to vaccinate, if they're not being in a compromising situation where they're likely to attract these diseases, I would personally say hold off, because the child has got a lot to deal with at the time. I would try and get to a baseline of good health first, if you can wait. And if you can't wait, I would try and supplement the vaccinations with the advice of a very good naturopath or a homeopath that can actually intervene and help your baby's immune system with supplements or some dietary advice or something. But I think vaccines, we do very lightheartedly. We just think, okay, we'll book the appointment on Tuesday and we'll do it. I think we need to be a little bit smarter about that as well. What are your thoughts, Ali?
Yes, vaccines is a hard subject to talk about.
Yeah,
so vaccines will, pardon?
Not one we're really qualified to advise on, but I know what I would do, and I would wait until my child was good.
Yeah, I think that vaccines will definitely compromise the gut, just like any medication would. So if you are vaccinating, then you need to supplement, like you said, with minerals and whatever else. And yeah, if you can look up like a detox for vaccines, and you can try and help them eliminate some of the toxins that they will receive with the vaccine.
Okay, I need to talk to you later as well then. my youngest is due.
Okay.
My youngest son is due, so I need to chat to you, because I don't know what to do. He's vaccinated up to 6 months, but he's got the measles, mumps, rubella one. And I'm a bit nervous about that one. But he is healthy. But yeah, I'm going to go and see a homeopath that's going to give me some advice on, minimizing the disruption to that.
Supplementing.
Yes. And another question, one from Elsie, bless her. She's got 2 kids. Her daughter, I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old girl and a 4-month-old boy. My daughter suffered from eczema since she was a baby, and now her 4-month-old has got eczema. I've tried every lotion and cream and nothing really works. If one does work, it then inevitably flares up again a couple of weeks later. So her question is dairy a trigger to eczema? My daughter drinks cow's milk about 3 to 4 times a day. So I would say try and eliminate dairy, and that's a lot of milk. I think we're ingrained that milk is important for strong teeth, healthy bones, and all that kind of stuff. There's actually no evidence to suggest that. In actual, the research suggests otherwise. It's in countries where there is no milk consumption that cases of osteoporosis is minimal, and brittle bones and stuff like that is most paramount in our societies, in Australia, New Zealand, America, the UK, and stuff like that. So my advice, and it's just my opinion, is I would actually cut out dairy for a couple of weeks at least, just to see if there's any difference. If not, try cutting out soy, because soy protein is extremely similar to cow's milk protein. So often dairy and soy go hand in hand if you want to work smart and not hard, because we can eliminate dairy and eat soy in packets, and it's actually the soy that's the trigger as well. What are your thoughts, Ali?
Yeah, I definitely would take it away for a little while and see. You know, Lakin didn't react to dairy on reintroduction, but I definitely don't give it to him in a glass. I don't give him a glass of milk. He will just have it if he's eating his, you know, gluten-free Weet Bix, or if he wants some. But I don't feed it to him every day, and I don't stress if he hasn't had his dairy. I mainly only give him a organic yogurt with the good bacteria. But yeah, cutting out dairy can most definitely help, and it may be the cause, and wheat also may be the cause. So cutting those two things out is a good start, and if you don't see any improvement, or on reintroduction, if you don't see a flare up, then it might not be that, and then you can work on the next thing that you might want to eliminate.
Yeah, and it can take up to 6 weeks for dairy to completely come out of the system. So while you
and they will probably, their symptoms may get worse before they get better when you take them off.
Yeah, so that's confusing, but I would definitely suggest it. I would definitely suggest some type of elimination diet. You don't have to go whole hog like you did, Ali. You're insane, but brilliant.
Yeah.
But I started out with my son had bit of eczema and all sorts of health issues. I just took dairy and soy out first. Saw an improvement, and so I knew to keep that off. But I figured that there's other things that were bothering him, so I took out wheat and gluten, and that helped significantly. Unfortunately, still had other sensitivities, and you just work it out. And then I realized it was natural occurring chemicals in most fruit and vegetables. But even then, we worked it out. So next question.
And you can heal it by healing the gut, and then they can tolerate it.
Yes. So it's.
I think there was a question saying, is the idea to have, I think she means Lakin, be able to eat all the food groups in the future when he gets older, or will you always have him on this good diet? So Lakin is eating everything that he couldn't eat before. So he has everything back into his diet, and he is not reacting to anything, unless we do still have him on a good diet. But unless we go to a few birthday parties and we give him a lot of soy and a lot of wheat and a lot of artificial colours and flavours and preservatives and packaged foods, he will then maybe get a little bit of eczema, but I never have to put steroids on, and within a few days he's cleared up. So he can eat everything now, if that answers that question. And there was another one saying that it's Ronnie, and that was the same person that asked the other question, that she baths her kids together. Is it okay to put apple cider vinegar in the bath with both of them? Yes, that's completely fine. Apple cider vinegar is magic, and it will only do good things.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And Bernadette asked us for some examples of fermented food. So fermented food is live food. It's full of good bacteria. So actually, I've been speaking to a few nutritionists lately, and they're all, the two things I'm always hearing in healing diet is chicken bone broth or bone broth and fermented foods. Huge. So you can buy fermented foods, you can make your own, but what are good examples of fermented foods? There's sauerkraut, kefir drinks, there's cultured coconut yogurts if you can't have dairy. And it's a case, you won't be able to get this in your Coles and Woolies, You need to go to your health food stores, and they're kind of the fermented vegetables are kind of labeled live food, good for you, and they tell you the bacteria that's in there. And you've got to start small. It's a very strong taste. It's very sour. So what I do with my little ones is I started off just getting the juice out of the fermented vegetable jar and just put a little teaspoon with meal. So he would just have the juice of the fermented food. That worked for us. But it really depends on the sensitivity of your child. But you only know when you try. So try. These are healthy things that you're trying. They're not scary things. So any other fermented foods that you've used?
And if they taste bad.
They taste bad?
If they do, to some people's taste, you just have to add a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you only need a little.
So I don't know if you've ever tried olive leaf. So olive leaf extract comes in a bottle, and it's very good for our health. So I was giving Lakin that as well, but it tastes very strong, quite disgusting, a bit like medicine, and he would ask for it every day.
Weirdo.
He's a weirdo.
Well, my little one, fish oil. Yeah, so he likes meat, fish oil. The longer your kids, the less challenging this healing lifestyle is. Okay, so any other fermented vegetables you want to share, or fermented foods or cultured foods?
No, I think you had that covered. And just go to your organic, grocer if you can find one. I'm sure there's some near you, and you'll find them.
Oh, I've got a beautiful mum, Emily. Thanks for joining us tonight. Emily was on my last webinar, and she'd made massive progress with her daughter's eczema by cutting out dairy, and she saw results very quickly within days. She's written, hi, I've been doing a dairy elimination diet for my breastfed baby. Her eczema is much improved, but she still scratches tie tops at the top of her forearms, around her ankles. I feel like part of the issue is sores heal. There's a bit of some few typos. Can you see this question? She then scratches and opens the wounds, which then get itchy as they heal. And so it goes on. How can I break this cycle? Any tips from when your son was healing? Thank you.
So we had Lakin in mitts, like all day and all night. Mm-hmm. So if you look on the website, Naturally Thriving, we've got that's bamboo bubby, so it's organic bamboo or bamboo and organic cotton, and they're little mitts that you can flip on and flip off. So if they're wanting to play, you can have them off, and then when they start itching, you put them back on. And he was in them for months, and they wear them to bed, and it stops them from breaking the skin. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's what I used to help him not harm his body so much.
Did you do a lot of the wrapping that a lot of mums do with severe eczema? They wrap their babies after putting lots of lotion on them?
I tried, but I didn't like it, so I didn't stick with it. I'm sure some people love it and it works for them, and that's the thing. You've got to, find something that works for you.
Yeah. We've got
while he had the mitts on, and while he was itching, it is hard, and some people might not like doing it, but I slept with him for a long time, and if he would scratch, I would hold him and rock him and walk him around and do anything I could to try and distract him.
Yeah, lovely. would you recommend taking a probiotic yourself if you are breastfeeding with the intention of it being passed on to baby? So the probiotics do get passed on. I think, when it comes to taking supplements, it's a bit like medicine. You don't want to be self-administering, but to be honest, probiotics are such a safe thing. And I think many of us have disrupted our guts a little bit that I don't believe it's a bad thing to take a probiotic daily directly yourself. And with my children, they've been having probiotics for my eldest for about 3 years and my youngest since birth. And I feel that's only done good for them. Okay. Next, how long did you wait before? Okay, we've done that one. Ali, did Lakin get tested for food intolerances, or was it done via elimination test or diet?
So he didn't get tested for intolerances. I did try and go back to the allergist to see if he was allergic to anything else, and he wouldn't test him for anything else. I think allergists only test for allergies. So I wasn't aware of any tests, to test for intolerances. I always recommend that elimination is the best way.
Yeah. Actually, funnily enough, when I was speaking to one practitioner about skin prick testing, that can actually aggravate allergies in the immune system as well. So for me, I didn't do any formal testing. I could blatantly see my son did not like bananas and blueberries and avocados and tomatoes and dairy and all that, because he'd throw up and he'd get hives and eczema. So that was enough information for me to then say, I don't need to give this food to him. I think in the case of anaphylaxis, for really bad allergies, then it's important to maybe get tested. Please talk about skincare. In my case, my son has a clear reaction to wool and maybe other materials besides cotton. Is this going to be forever? No, it doesn't have to be. Also, elimination of those materials and then reintroducing it in some time. What do you suggest about, you sell things like bedding and stuff as well, don't you, Ali? And
yeah.
Any thoughts on that, on the materials that we put on our kids' bodies?
Well, I would only at the time use cotton or bamboo. Anything that says it has a low fire danger, it's actually a chemical, and it's not really good for us. But it's hard for me to say what people should and shouldn't do. But yeah, I mean, some kids react, like if you don't wash clothes after you buy them, some kids will have a reaction because they've got chemicals in them. And some people do react to wool, and some people react to other things. I'm not too sure. I don't know if you know whether a gut healing diet would help environmental triggers. I'm not too sure. Yeah, we sell like organic bamboo bedding, because bamboo is known to be great for eczema and soft on the skin. So yeah, I just use natural products on Lakin's bed. So either bamboo or cotton or organic cotton, whatever you want to use. So no synthetic fabrics.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy, would you recommend cutting out dairy, soy and egg, etc. when breastfeeding? My 6.5-month-old had hives with spelt flour. Gosh, so you are trying to do the right thing. And I'm booked in to see the allergist in a month. So she's got a month to wait. Not sure if I should just stop everything before the skin prick test. Oh, I don't know the answer to that. It depends.
I don't know if the skin prick tests have a different reading if you stop foods. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. You can do a test at home. Nothing's accurate, but I was speaking to a nutritionist, a very good qualified nutritionist today, and she says at home, if you are wanting to test a food, is just dab a bit of, say it's banana, a bit on the cheek. If there's no red mark there, then try it around the mouth. If there's no red mark there, put a tiny bit in the mouth. And these are very gentle ways to, if you're very worried. But Sandy, with your question, I guess it really depends how severe the reaction is to your breast milk, to know what the right thing to do is. I think hone into your mother instinct, and probably, there's no harm in experimenting. Going without dairy, soy, and egg is not going to be a big deal for a month for your child. Maybe just start with dairy and soy and see if that helps. But just make sure that your diet is good, so that you're getting calcium from other sources. So dark leafy greens, tinned salmon or sardines, tinned sardines or sardines with bones in them in glass bottles, whatever they sell them in. Almonds, dried figs are high in calcium. So, when we eliminate a food group, we have to do it with some wisdom so that we're not then deficient in key nutrients. So next question, Ronnie, my friend Ronnie's on here, and she's shared her story with doctors about eczema and asthma, and she was just told to get lots of steroids and put them in a bath of Dettol, and her mother instinct said, no, this feels really wrong. So she went to a naturopath, she's just said, and was mortified by the direction the doctor was giving, and has since helped her son heal. So I think naturopaths are a great place to go if you can find a good one, someone that's been recommended. In Brisbane, a good naturopath or integrated doctor in Brisbane? Yes. Stephanie Harrison, I do. I have a very good practitioner for you in Brisbane. Can you please email me afterwards, because I can't remember their name or their clinic name, but my email address is sharon@beatfortreats.com. I've got an excellent practitioner for you in Brisbane. In actual fact, this practitioner does Skype calls, so I'll send you the details. If anyone wants to have some advice on practitioners, I can let you know who I found very helpful. Plus, there's a website, Ali, you might have heard of it, called Mind, MINDD.org. I've put the website there. This is an integrative website. I've met the woman who runs it. It's a charity, and she puts all her integrative practitioners onto this website, and you can just click on a practitioner in your region. If you go on the homepage, there's a wonderful video of healing stories of mums and parents that have healed their children from things like autism and behavioral issues. So, if we can heal those things, eczema should be okay, and asthma should be quite achievable. So, other questions? What's the time? It's 9:20. I think I'll just see who's still with us. We still have lots of mums on the call. How are you doing for time, Ali? Do you want to?
I'm fine.
All mums, we just love sharing, don't we? We just want to help. I think when you've had a success story, you can't keep quiet. You just got to keep sharing. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Oh, bless. A lot of mums saying thank you. We'll definitely introduce bone broth. Well done, Emily. Please do. How much do you put in? I bath my kids together. Oh, we've done that one. Vaccinations. Any other questions you can see? Organic yogurt, what brand? And from where can we buy it? Ronnie, I'd say just try and find your nearest organic or health food store, or just go online. Do you know any good organic yogurts that you'd recommend, Ali?
I think Joey recommended some great ones there underneath that question.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's been answered. Thank you, mums, for helping and responding to the questions. Kimchi cabbage, okay, good. The probiotic I give to my son gives him constipation. Is he reacting to the probiotic? That's weird, because probiotics generally helps flush things through. Every child is different, so look, it's maybe not out of the question. It also depends on the brand of the probiotic. There's, probiotics and supplements is a massive business now, just like pharmaceuticals. So there are some good ones out there and there's some bad ones out there, and people are out there to make money. So I would perhaps look at the brand that you've got, and maybe try one of the ones we've recommended, which is Bioceuticals or Metagenics, or Inner Health Plus is pretty good, and see how you go there, or maybe seek advice from a good integrative practitioner. I always say the sign of a good doctor is how much medicine they can take you off rather than put you on. So bear that in mind.
There's another one on bleach bath.
Yeah.
So instead of a bleach bath, we use apple cider vinegar. That was a question. So if you don't feel comfortable using the bleach bath, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to wrap up, I think. I believe we've answered most of the questions. Do you recommend using the milk ladder to reintroduce dairy? Do you know that milk ladder thing?
I haven't done any food ladders to introduce foods. I don't know whether I will do that with egg when it's time for me to test Lakin with his egg allergy. So I'm not too sure about those things, but if that's, if you look at it and feel comfortable doing it, then I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I've seen some ladders and some of them are crazy. So they're
okay.
In the processed food, so digestive biscuits or something, and I just think that's insane. The more you can come off refined flours and sugars, the better. So if you're going to do dairy, I wouldn't go that sort of ladder. I would try, the skin testing, and I would try a really good quality organic, maybe yogurt or fermented yogurt or something. Just start really, really slowly. That's what I would suggest. I've seen some of these ladders and I'm so shocked by them.
Okay, see, I haven't seen them.
I've never taken notice of them because I don't like them. Some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just use food as whole and as real as possible.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
When I introduced dairy back in, I just bought a natural organic yogurt with the good bacteria. And when I wanted to introduce cheese, you can buy it from a health food store, and it's called Quack. And it is or you can make it yourself. So you buy the organic yogurt and you strain it overnight. And what's left in the cheesecloth is cheese.
Mm-hmm. Right, and straight away it's cheese. It's like a cottage cheese or something.
Cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
So you can add herbs, you can add whatever you would like to make it taste nicer, but it tastes nice as it is. It just tastes like cream cheese.
Yeah.
But it's yogurt.
Okay. Wow, good to know. Brilliant. So I hope we've answered everyone. I really hope that this hour and a half has been productive, at least given you some food for thought, and to, just note from me to you is thank you for coming on board and listening to us and your trust and giving us your trust and your time. I appreciate that very much, and we both do. And I hope this has been of some help and it gives you some guidance moving forward. So lots of love to you all, and I believe you're on this journey for a reason, and I think you're ahead of the game because you're just going to get into health and wellness sooner than others, and it's quite a journey and a very rewarding one. So Ali, thank you so much for your time. You are amazing.
Thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful meeting you, and we'll obviously be friends and stay in touch moving forward.
Yes.
So goodbye, everyone, and we'll be in touch. I'll send a replay probably next week because I just want to put a bit of a newsletter together and be as helpful as we can. If you have any other questions, just send me an email, and between Ali and I, we will help you out as much as we can. And there we go. So thank you, everyone. And
thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye. See you.
Bye.